What's up, War Room? We are back. Joe Caporoso, Connor Rogers. A very special War Room tonight for two reasons. One, it's running Wednesday morning instead of Tuesday night. So we're testing out, do we go pod before War Room or War Room before pod? Now's the time to try new things, try to learn from last season, a little Robert Sala energy. And we're doing a 3-round PFF mock draft simulator. We get to put Connor in the GM chair like so many of you want, and I get to bounce ideas and thoughts and normal fan ranting off them. CR, how we doing? How we feeling? We got you in your element here. You're in the actual war room, in war room.
I've never been more comfortable. I've already selected the Jets. I've already selected 3 rounds. I'm going to leave it open how the board falls. Ultimately, what we do at 10, there are trade options. So it's going to be really fun. This will probably be the first of maybe 2 or 3 of these if people really like them. And I think we'll change the scenario every time because I think everybody following the Jets right now knows that they could very well trade out of 10. They could very well sit there and take an offensive lineman. They could very well sit there and take a pass catcher. And then the smaller options, they could very well sit there and take a pick that really surprises everybody, kind of like Will McDonald did last year. So, Joe, I say we get right into this. I am going to start this right now. Once again, we are only picking for the Jets, so the simulator will make the selections for everyone else. As we go start draft, let's take a look at what happened. Caleb Williams went number 1 overall. Jaden Daniels went 2nd overall. Drake May went 3rd overall. So a very realistic start here. Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. go back-to-back, followed by J.J. McCarthy. Of course, Joe Alt goes to the Titans. The Falcons take Rome Odunze, and the Bears take Dallas Turner. So, Joe, this is a very realistic scenario for the Jets to be in at 10. Where is your brain leaning right now as you have the fan choices between Bowers, Fuanga, Fatanu, and Olu, and we could pick up the phone and see what we could do to get out of this pick?
I think the first thing I'm doing is picking up the phone to see if I could trade
Right.
back 4 or 5 spots and get a little extra collateral, maybe even a touch further, depending on how I have my board set up. I want to save a little of this more for the pod, but I'm fascinated by the Bowers discourse and how it seems like his stock is like dropping in some ways, which I'm a bit confused about. And I want to save the discourse for that a little more to the pod. My initial thought goes to Fontenot because I'm still going to prioritize with Adunze gone. And it's narrowly him over Brian Thomas for me because I'm really worried about the Jets collection of receivers. Uh, they need that sort of sixth man offensive lineman because someone is going to miss some time. Multiple people will probably miss some time, and they can't have that cripple the season. And to have a guy who could slot in as a long-term tackle or a long-term guard feels too good to pass up. And I think he's narrowly a better prospect than Thomas. I just have a feeling the reason I'm not saying Bowers is I just kind of don't see the Jets taking him. And that could be the wrong decision. You know how both of us, feel about Bowers, before all the discourse set in. But I think I'm going to go Fatanu here, but you could talk me into Thomas and also tell me I'm crazy for passing on Bowers.
I don't think you're crazy at all, number one. I think that the Jets are in a spot where, I've kind of been hammering this line into the ground, but taking Bowers over one of the top offensive linemen is a little bit of eating your dessert and skipping your vegetables. And it's the same feeling, right? The sugar rush, the getting away, like it's going to feel really exciting. There's probably going to be moments that it's awesome. And then at some point of the season, and definitely beyond this season, you're going to look back and go, should we have kind of taken the more pragmatic approach and built in the trenches? And are we going to regret this because Tyron Smith is down, or, Simpson's struggling, or Morgan Moses is down, or you start next year and you're going in, you're like, oh man, we're both tackles are free agents and they're older, and, you just have question marks. So it's a tricky one. I still lean Fautanu, but I think there will be another day where we take Bowers here at 10. And I think the good thing for a lot of people watching this is they've seen the Jets take Bowers at 10 a million times. So it's not like the point of this is not for everyone watching to say that is my absolute favorite scenario. It's great if that's what you come away with. I think the point of this, with Joe and I doing this because of how entrenched we are in it, is to show you different scenarios. So we know what it's like when they take Bowers. I've had Fatanu go in mock draft, so I'm probably going to take him here in a second. I was curious with the trade options. I think the tricky part is so they have Jacksonville as the top recommended here. So Jacksonville, all right, let's say Jacksonville right now on the trade chart. So the Jets pick is worth 1,300 points. Jacksonville at 17 is worth 950. So you need to make up about 350 points. Their second rounder is worth 420. So let's say the Jets pick is actually a hot commodity here. Do we want to go to 17, get back the 2, and we'll flip them one of the 4s?
I kind of love that. I
Right.
do kind of love getting the 2 in this draft with what some of their needs are. I mean, you could make the case that in a win now season, just get the more premium players. And also, hey, look at the points to trade up and try to get Marvin Harrison Jr. But the structure of that trade, I don't hate at all, especially if you got, a guy in mind where you can say, look, we're going to check the offensive line and receiver box with these first 2 picks because now we have 17 and now we have the second rounder. So it's really the question is, I'm assuming in this scenario, your first 2 picks in either order end up being offensive line and receiver. It's just who are those 2 guys with these new slots that we're looking at?
Right. And I know some people watching will be like, why is Jacksonville coming up to 10? It's, we're not really concerned about that here. I would think Brian Thomas Jr. would be the player, although they can also get the best corner in the draft by coming up to 10. That's a big need for them. And this is telling us that 17 and 48, I said one of the 4s. It doesn't look like we need to do that. We could actually pick 185 in the 5th round. No, in the 6th round. Let's see if this goes through. We'd be picking at 17 and 48 while giving up 10 and 185. We're going to offer the trade. The trade's accepted. So now we got out of 10. We only went back to 17 while we were off the board. So they did come up for a corner. They came up for Terrion Arnold. Bowers went at 11. Fuanga, Verse, Latu, Latham, Brian Thomas Jr. We are at 17, and we could still take Fatanu, which I think we have to, right?
Of course. Well, if they're at 17, I mean, it's like the Jermaine Johnson thing where it's like,
yes,
we're talking about taking him at 10 and you get him in the,
that's
the
a really good callback. That's exactly what it feels like. It is very realistic. He can go I think Seattle's the favorite to pick him right now. So 10 to 16 is definitely his spot. They liked Brian Thomas Jr. I think that's a good pick for them. So let's take Fatanu at 17, which is awesome because now we are going to pick at 48, which we did not have coming into this draft. And you said wide receiver makes sense, and there's a lot of good ones on the board. Roman Wilson, Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Polk would all come into play for me. So, Joe, it feels like this really paid off for the Jets, only moving back 7 spots and getting a second rounder back while only sending back that 6th rounder.
Yeah, I mean, that feels kind of like a dream scenario. It's like one of those, I feel like every year, and I'm sure a lot of fan bases do this, there's always the talk of, can we trade back 5 to 10 spots and get another pick back that we're really excited about? It's hard to do. You got to find the right partner. If the Jets can pull this off and take advantage of such a deep receiver class in round 2, I think everyone's going to be very excited. The fact that they could get a guy in round 1 that plenty of people would be excited about getting at 10. And then everyone wants to, have an opportunity to have a swing in round 2 and not wait all the way to the 3rd round, because the Jets still have a lot of meaningful needs, and they still have needs at offensive line and receiver, despite really exciting additions in Tyron Smith and Mike Williams, particularly at receiver, because they were right on in the media day of saying, look, like Mike Williams has got a long way to go. Like, it's a discussion if he's going to be ready for week 1, which means your 11 personnel week 1, and teams run a lot of 11, is Garrett Wilson, just getting back from injury, Mike Williams, and Alan Lazard, which is terrifying. So you need another receiver. So how are we getting that value in round 2? And are we getting someone who can play week 1 with Aaron Rodgers, where we're not stuck watching Lazard or Gibson out there? Connor and I are very, very excited to be off and rolling with Underdog. We already got, I think, 3 best ball drafts under our belt, getting some reps, getting some at bats, drafts, pick'ems, higher, lower. I'm getting all my practice in on NBA and NHL, but when it gets to the NFL season, is going to be very exciting. Some of the things we're going to be able to do with some of the Jets options out there and some of the drafts that we can build as the actual draft gets closer and as fantasy season gets here. If you haven't signed up yet, sign up with promo code Badlands and get a deposit match up to $100. Again, that's promo code Badlands for a deposit match up to 100. CR, what do we got on the way? What are we thinking here in terms of some content and rankings that's Underdog centric?
We might even have to dive into the baseball world a little bit at some point. See if anybody in our audience, our Discord, wants to get involved in that. Obviously, we've had a lot of fun doing the pre-draft best ball drafts for football because that takes a special kind of analysis of, okay, I don't know where this rookie's going to go, but I love the player, and I actually have a feeling he'll be in a good landing spot, so take him here. So those are a lot of fun these next 6 weeks. And then, of course, after the draft, it'll pick up even more. So we've had a lot of fun with the drafts. And then before you know it, when the NFL season is here, it'll be pick'em season for Badlands.
Amen. Thank you, everyone. And again, that is promo code Badlands. Sign up for Underdog Fantasy today. So, CR, we all know the Jets need a receiver in the second round in this scenario. Who is the guy that they could get? And can they find a guy who can contribute right away in week one and not have us have to watch Alan Lazard week one?
So this played out really well for them where the guys available to me can come in and give you a certain floor. And my top guy here, Polk and Pearsall would be my top guys. And then Roman Wilson would be a little bit down the board, not that far though. And I think the good news with all of these guys is they have inside-outside versatility. They're really good route runners. They are, especially Pearsall and Polk, they just catch everything, which drops in this Jets receiving core has been an issue. So for me in this spot right here, I'm going to take Ricky Pearsall and get a guy that's a really good athlete that is excellent before and after the catch. He understands how to separate. He's got a really good release package off the line of scrimmage, and he's reliable. And Rodgers is a guy that does not like dealing with drops, not only from any receiver, but especially young players. And I think Pearsall is somebody you can trust right away. So the Jets in the first and second round right now walk out with a number 3 wide receiver, a guy in Fatanu that's going to push Simpson at left guard and going to have to fill in at tackle at some point before being a future starter. And we still get to pick at 72 to close this out. So Joe, I have to ask you, we've already crossed off 2 massive needs with good player value. 72 feels kind of dealer's choice. You could start thinking, hey, DJ Reed's probably going to walk or is at least up after this year.